Hello everyone, this is Reincarnation, a law of karma. Going to finish, start on chapter 6 here. Once we're done with this book again, we are going to get into the medical field. There'll probably be reading stuff there, here and there, especially for nursing. But we're going to have different content very soon. Probably in a different city and probably do more things, better things on camera. So we have better content for you, so we get more subscribers.
Hi.
We're going to continue Reincarnation, the law of karma. This time we're going to talk about chapter 6, the modern West. Okay, the modern West. In the modern thought of the Western world, we find reincarnation attracting much attention. The Western philosophers, for the past 100 years, have been approaching the subject with a no degree of attention and consideration, and during the past 20 years, there has been a marvelous awakening of Western public interest in the doctrine. At the present time, American and European magazines contain poems and stories based on reincarnation, and many novels are written around it, and plays even have been based upon the general doctrine and have been received marked attention in the part of the public. The idea seemed at the caught of the public. The idea have been caught up by the public. You can hear everything this, right? You can hear everything this, right?
Yes.
Just for reading song.
Yes.
The present revival of attention has been brought up by largely renewed interest on the part of the Western world toward general subject of occultism, methodism, and comparative religion, Oriental philosophy in their many phrases and forms. The World's Parliament of Religions held in the World's Fairs in Chicago in 1893. And the next time we should wear the things that we bought. We don't wear those things we bought.
The what are these?
Yeah.
Oh.
Even for Marines too, yeah. In 1893, did much attract attention of the American public of subject in Oriental philosophies, in which reincarnation plays such a prominent part. But perhaps the prime factor is this reawakened Western interest in the subject of work and teachings of the Theosophical Society founded by Madame Blavatsky some 30 years ago, and which has been continued by her followers and several successors. But whatever may be caused, the idea of reincarnation seems destined to play an important part in the religious and philosophical thought of the West of some time to come. Signs of it appear on every side of the subject cannot be found to be ignored by modern student of religion and philosophy, who either accept it or not. It must be recognized and examined, but the forms of doctrine or theories regarding reincarnation vary almost as much as modern Western various Eastern countries at present and in the past. We find all phrases of the subject attract attention and drawing followers to its support. Here we find the influence of Hindu thought, principally through the medium of the channel of Theosophy and or the yogi philosophy, and there we find influence of the Grecian or Egyptian philosophical conceptions manifesting principally through the medium of number of occult orders of the organizations whose work performed quietly and with little recognition on the part of general public, and the policy to bring attract to the elect few rather than the curious crowd. And again, we find quite a number of persons in America or Europe believing in reincarnation because they're attracted by the philosophy of neo-Platonists or the Gnostics of the early Christian church, and favoring reincarnation as a proper part of Christian religion, and who, while remain in the blossom of the church, interpret the teaching by the light of doctrine of rebirth to many of the early Christians, as we have been seen.
The Theosophical conceptions and interpretations appeals to the great numbers of the Western reincarnationists by reason of its wide circulations of the disseminations, as well as by the fact that it has formulated a detailed theories and doctrine, and besides claims the benefits of authoritative instructive to the doctrines from adepts and masters who have passed it to a higher plane of existence. We think it proper to give in some little details an account of the general teachings of this theosophy, theosophies. On this point, the readers being referred to the general philosophical literatures to more extended information regarding their special teachings. Theosophies teaches that the human soul is the composite entities consisting the several principles, shifts, and vehicles, similar to those mentioned by us in our account of Hindu reincarnations. The Theosophical book states these principles as follows. Number 1, the body or rupa. Number 2, vitalities or pranas java. Number 3, astral's body or linga sharira. Number 4, animal souls or kama rupa. Number 5, human souls, manas. Number 6, spiritual souls or bodhi. And number 7, spiritual or atma. Of these 7 principles, the last of the higher 3s, namely the atma, bodhi, and manas, compose the higher trinities of the souls, the parts of the man's which persist, while the lower 4 principles, namely rupa, prana, java, langsharira, and kamarupa, respectively, are the lower principles which perish after the passings out of the higher principles after death. At death, the higher principles or triads lives on, while the lower principles of quaternary dissolves, they separated from each other and finally disintegrated along a lines of a process resembling chemical actions. Theosophy teaches that there is a great stream of egos and or monads which originally emanates from the source of beings and which are pursuing a spiritual journey around a chain of 7 globes, including the Earth, called the planetary chain. The light waves and monads reaches globe A and goes through a series of evolutionary life on it, and then passes the globe 3, and so on until globe G is reached. When after the continual life, the light wave returns to globe A, but not in a circle, but rather in a spiral, that is, on higher planes and activities. And the rounds began once more. There are 7 races to be lived through, and each globe many incarcerations, and each race having 7 sub-races, and each sub-races having 7 branches. The progress of light waves is illustrated by the symbols of a 7 coil spiral, sweeping with the wider curves of each coil, and each coil, however, being divided into a minor 7 coil spirals, and so on. It is taught that the human soul is not on its 4th great rounds visit to the earth, and it is not about the middle and the 5th race of that round. The total number of impersonations necessary for each round is quite large, and the teachings is that none can escape them except by special merits and development. Between each incarnation, there is a period of rest in each heaven's world, or David Chan. There, where the souls reap the experience of the past life and prepares for the next steps. The period of rest varies with the degree of attainment gained by the souls, and higher the degree, the longer the rest. You want to read? Here. Oh.
Make it the last two. Question 106. We'll stop at the next page.
The average time between incarceration is estimated at about 1,500 years. Diva Chan and is thus a kind of therapy, a temporary heavens for which the soul must again passes in time to the rebirth according to its merits or demerits. Thus, accordingly, each souls have lived in a variety of bodies, even during the present rounds, having lived successively incarnated as a savage, a barbarian, a semi-civilized man, a native of India, Egypt, Chaldea, Rome, Greece, and many other lands in different ages, filling all kinds of positions and places in life, testing and covering the riches of pleasures, and main all ever leading towards higher things. The doctrines inculcated by Theosophists is completed to intricate, and we can do no more than the barely mentions the same at this place.
Another Western form of Oriental teachings known as yogi philosophy. Numbers are quite large of the earnest students in this country and in Europe. Europe has a large circle influence, although it has never crystallized into an organization. The work being done quietly, a teaching spread by the sale of popular books by subject issued at the nominal prices. It is based on the inner teachings and the Hindu philosophy of the electric in the nature of the deriving inspiration of the several great teachers, philosophies, and schools rather than implicitly following of one of them. Briefly stated, the Western school of yogi philosophy teaches a universal examination from the mental creation of the absolute, who is the creator, which flows out of the outpouring of mental energy, descending from the condition above mind downward through mind, physical energy, and matter of the ground involution of the enfolding of the divine energy into the material forms and states. The involution of the folly, the evolution of the unfoldment. The material forms the advancing of the scale of evolution, accompanied by a corresponding spiritual evolution of the unfoldment of the individual centers of the units of being, created by the emanated, as above stated, the course of evolution rather than the phase at which with the present human race of the earth is concerned, has been reached to the point of about in midway in the scale of spiritual evolution, and the future will lead to be raced on and on to the higher and still higher planes of state of being on this earth and the other spheres, until it reaches a point of incomprehensible to the mind of man and the body of today. And then it's still on until finally the souls will pass into another plane of the absolute. There's to exist in state impossible to present comprehension, and translating not only to understanding but also the imagination of the man, of the mind of the man as we know him. Okay, everyone, that would be the end of part 1 today for this chapter 6 for the Modern West. We'll continue it tomorrow or later. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.